A young, newlywed couple, Jenny Sun-Reisberg and Stephen Alvin Reisberg, were enjoying their holiday in the winter of 1990. They hiked the Tetons and visited a friend in San Francisco before deciding to fly to Kauai, Hawaii. Nicknamed the Garden Isle, dense rainforests make up a large portion of the land on Kauai, a perfect paradise for avid hikers such as the Reisbergs. Jenny and Stephen set their sights on hiking Mount Waialili in Koki State Park. So they arrived at Koki Park after the 9th of September and studied numerous maps of the mountain at the Koki Museum of Natural History. As described by the program director at the time, the couple seemed highly intelligent and determined to hike the mountain. Mount Waialili is no walk in the park, however, and they were warned that trekking to the summit would be difficult, as there were few trails. A museum employee, Mark Jeffers, stated, "I tried to explain to them that it's not really such a good idea, but they thought they could handle it." Still, the couple decided to take the risk and hike the second wettest area in the world. They left the museum and were never seen again. Stephen was a doctor at the New England Medical Center, and Jenny was a doctoral candidate at Harvard University in Massachusetts. It was a professor at Harvard that reported them both as missing on September 24. A search was conducted, and 2 weeks after their disappearance, their rental car was found at Pu'o Kila Lookout in Koki State Park. Strangely, it contained the couple's backpacks, tents, and suitcases. There were no traces of blood or signs of a struggle in or around the car. An extensive search of the area with police, dogs, and helicopters turned up nothing. The only possible lead was a scarf that may have belonged to Jenny. Also, a hiker claimed to have heard moaning of a woman while he was hiking around the same area. This, however, is also unconfirmed. These are the only clues discovered during the search. A number of explanations and theories have arisen from this peculiar case. Firstly, the police suspected at the time that this could be a possible homicide. Not only because it would be somewhat implausible for two avid hikers to both have fatal accidents and go missing without a trace, but also because 2 hikers were killed by marijuana plantation growers the exact same year the Reisbergs disappeared. An area like the island of Kauai would be a good location to secretly grow marijuana, and it's not unlikely the Reisbergs met a similar fate as the other 2 hikers. A naturalist named David Boynton, who acted as a guide for Stephen's parents, suggested an alternate theory. There is a ridgeline near the lookout that provides excellent views of Kalalau Valley. Hiking along this ridgeline towards the sea is said to be a once-in-a-lifetime experience by many hikers. This ridgeline is dangerous, however, with narrow tracks and steep falls, so Boynton theorized that they may have both fell 4,000 feet below. The fact that they didn't take their backpacks indicates that they were going on a relatively short day hike, which seems to support this theory, as you can reach these views in a few hours. Although, considering the hike is dangerous, having access to supplies in case of an emergency would be the responsible thing to do. Also, it seems unlikely that both of them should have fell, unless one fell and the other tried to help and failed, and perhaps by very bad luck their bodies were hidden so well in the forest below, they were never found. Another theory is that they both wanted to disappear, as there were rumours that Stephen didn't want to be a doctor, despite there being some disputation of that claim, and that Jenny felt the pressures of being a doctoral candidate. This theory holds little weight, however. In the end, due to the age of this case, it is likely that both Jenny and Stephen had passed. Just how, though, might forever remain uncovered. the town of Lihue, Hawaii, the AMFAC JMB Lihue sugarcane processing plant provided a large amount of jobs to the community for over 150 years. It was here that Davis Samuel Cortez Jr. worked, cleaning and maintaining the plant's machinery at night. He was last seen between 12:30 and 1 a.m. on April 15, 2000. Just another night on the job, it seemed. Cortez's supervisor attempted to contact him during his shift. After no response, some of his colleagues went searching for him. However, all they found were his food, coffee mug, keys, and street clothes in the break room, and his car in the employee parking lot. All things seemingly normal, except Cortez himself had just disappeared. There are a couple of theories regarding the sudden disappearance of Cortez. His family first suggested that he may have fell or was pushed into the cane processing equipment. Upon further investigation, a mangled rubber boot in Cortez's size and a shredded green shirt were found in the cane juicer machine near the factory the following day. There were no traces of blood, however. It has been suggested that the cane sugar juice extracting machine would have washed away any blood. It does seem like an amazing coincidence a boot in the same size was found the day after Cortez vanished. But after an extensive 6-week investigation by the Hawaii Occupational Safety and Health Division, it was decided that Cortez did not fall into any crusher. His family disagreed. Was this some kind of a cover-up that the company set up in order to keep its reputation intact? Even so, authorities believe that a person falling into one of these machines accidentally is unlikely. However, as stated in an article about the processing plant's shutdown in 2002, the machinery was often very old. Perhaps effective safety mechanisms were not present at the time. Or maybe someone pushed Cortez in while he was near enough to the crusher. Again though, no concrete evidence of foul play was ever found, according to authorities. So, where did he go? There is no report of any signs of a struggle having taken place in the plant, and it is unlikely that he just decided to go for a walk somewhere, away from the plant. He left his keys in the break room, something that doesn't make sense in that instance. Cortez's father and uncle searched the surrounding cane fields and found no sign. His mother stated, "I know he isn't alive because of my dreams, but I want closure." Loida Gabon Wideman was a responsible and stable 39-year-old woman living in Pearl City, Honolulu with her 3 sons. At 9:30 a.m. May 13, 2012, she took her usual route for work as a nurse aide at a care home. These were the last confirmed movements of Loida. She has never been heard from again. She hasn't accessed her bank account since she went missing, and there is no evidence that she has left Honolulu. A few interesting details have come to light after she was reported missing. Firstly, 3 days after she left for work, her car was found on Lehua Avenue near First Street, a few miles from her home. A bloodhound tracked her scent to some dumpsters along a bike trail, which begins not far from her abandoned gold 2003 Saturn Iron. After searching the dumpsters, the police found nothing of interest. The bike path leads to Waipio Point Access Road on one side, and eventually to Aia Bay on the other side from Lehua Avenue. It is apparently well trafficked, and seeing as this was 9:30 a.m. on a Sunday, and according to the Weather Underground website, no chance of rain was predicted, it's hard to imagine any kind of foul play occurring on the track, although it's not entirely impossible. These were the last clues pertaining to the whereabouts of Loida. Sergeant Kim Buffett, Honolulu Crime Stoppers coordinator at the time, stated that the last case similar to this one in Honolulu was the case of Kimberly Jacobs, who disappeared from her second home in 2008. Another bizarre missing persons case. Throughout this time, fingers were understandably pointed towards Loida's ex-husband, Lionel Reginald Wideman. Lionel was an ex-convict who, in 1985, assaulted a 24-year-old woman in her home. In 2011, he was accused of sexual assault by a Mikakilo woman. She did not press charges, however, and instead applied for a temporary restraining order. Lionel was arrested 5 days after Loida's disappearance for violating his parole. Although he seems like a prime suspect in Loida's case, no evidence has been found to suggest he had anything to do with her disappearance. He maintained so and stated that we're fine in regard to their relationship. Going back to the dumpsters on the bike track, it does seem odd that her scent would lead the bloodhound there, but nothing of any interest was found in or near the dumpsters. What if she was dropping something off and used this as a pickup point? Or perhaps she wasn't dropping anything off at all and was simply meeting someone and used the dumpsters as a kind of location marker for whoever she was meeting. 40 volunteers searched on and around the bike path during May 2012, and still nothing of interest turned up. It's not too often that a seemingly responsible, stable and established member of a community vanishes with little explanation as to where they are or what had happened to them. This is unfortunately one of those cases. This last one is short, but very unusual. The man in question is Manuel Nolasco Duran. Duran was a kayaker, a keen kayaker at that, and he also had family in the Philippines. So he came up with a plan to kayak from Honolulu to the Philippines to visit his girlfriend and daughter in just 30 days, beginning on December 3rd, 2018. A good 5,000-mile journey. Strange, right? The kayak itself was regular sized, however it did have a sail attached. A member of the Web Sleuths forum pointed out that there is a current that could have enabled him to sail at 5 to 8 miles an hour. Still a treacherous journey to embark on. And it may have proven to be too treacherous, as December 3rd was the last time anyone saw or heard from Duran again. You may be thinking this one is obvious. He was tragically lost at sea. But there's more to this story. His car that he used to drive to the beach with his kayak to then sail to the Philippines is missing. It too was never found. How could his car be missing when he supposedly set out to sail to the Philippines for 30 days? And he was seen actually embarking from shore by onlookers. A few theories and suspicions have naturally been put forth. Scenario 1. He did in fact set sail with the intention of sailing to the Philippines in 30 days, and was unfortunately lost at sea. His car was perhaps stolen, although that would have been quite the coincidence. It's not the first time someone attempted a journey so extreme. For instance, Oscar Speck travelled from Germany to Australia between 1932 to 39. Although he stopped along the way. And Alexander Dober paddled from Lisbon to Florida in 2014. He paddled 6,300 miles. It took him 196 days though, so travelling 5,000 miles in just 30 days seems a little far-fetched. Scenario 2. He never intended to kayak to the Philippines. He circled back around to Hawaii when nobody could see, possibly at night, took his car to an unknown location or sold it, and flew to the Philippines with false identification. Perhaps it was a way to claim life insurance. Or maybe he never intended to travel anywhere. But then, why go through all this trouble? To live in secrecy and start a new life? Another theory might be that he circles back around to Hawaii, travelled somewhere in his car, and someone possibly took his life while Duran was trying to enact whatever plan he had. Although this is stretching things a bit, considering there is absolutely no evidence of this. Since it has only been around a year and a half, there might be some developments in the future that may shed light into this very peculiar missing persons case.